Hi guys, I'm author Kristen Lindsay Hager. I write middle grade fiction and young adult. I have two different series and a standalone. I write the Landry's True Colors series, which is an upper middle grade series dealing with frenemies, fitting in middle school, and self-esteem. I write the Star series that is about a girl named Hadley Daniels in high school, and she moves to this gorgeous beach town, moving next door to a teen TV star, and all the comparisons that you do with yourself and celebrities, now she's doing with the actual girl next door who's in her class. And there's romance and beautiful beach scenery, and it's a fun series. And then my latest one that Double Decker Books asked me to talk about today, which is Dating the It Guy, which just came out in spring. I'm so excited. It's an audiobook, paperback, and for ebooks. And this is a young adult novel. It's romance, but it also deals with family connections with her grandparents, all the things that she goes through dating the popular son of a senator. Because I got the idea watching this biography about JFK Jr., who, was like totally popular, good looking, people's sexiest guy in the world on the magazine covers and stuff, and how Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, his wife at the time, how she dealt with that. I just kept thinking about that. And I thought, well, what if in high school you were dating somebody like that? What would that be like? And that's how Dating That Guy got started. And so we deal with Emmy, and she's going through all the stuff with her family, with her grandparents, not doing well health-wise. And she's, trying to deal with regular day-to-day school stuff. She wants to write for the school newspaper, and Brendan's ex-girlfriend is on there. She's intimidated. She's intimidated in her creative writing class because she's the youngest girl in there. So she's dealing with all that on top of the fact that her boyfriend is the most popular guy in school, like I said, the senator's son, and he had the perfect ex-girlfriend who really wants him back. So it's a funny series. I've gotten a lot of great reviews on this about the humor and everything, and I'm just really glad that people have been reaching out to me, because I've had quite a few readers say that they feel like they are Emmy, and they've actually emailed me to ask for some advice on some stuff, which is really kind of cool that they would trust me to share what they're going through, what they're dealing with. So it's been a really great response to the book. Now, Double Decker Books sent me some questions that they want me to answer. So here's the first question. If Emmy was to switch with a character from your favorite TV show, what show, who would it be, and why? And, well, my favorite TV show is American Dad. And my favorite character on the show is Roger. So I can't really see Emmy and Roger switching places. But Emmy and Steve could change places, because Steve's hilarious. He's all awkward, trying to be cool, meeting girls at school and at dances and stuff, and he just can't really pull off cool. She's a little bit like Haley, because Emmy's kind of a boho chick with, she loves her crystal bracelets like I have on. Where'd she get it from, and she's into causes and stuff like that. So she could easily switch places with Haley. I think that would work. Okay, the next question. What is the hardest part about writing books for teens? Well, the hardest part for me is having to go back to those years and sometimes dig up things that I went through that weren't necessarily pleasant to go through another time. I have a lot of my old journals from back then, and there are things that I don't remember. Like if you were to ask me now about 10th grade or junior year or something like that, like junior homecoming games or something like that, not a ton maybe would come up necessarily, but when I go through those journals, it brings back a lot of stuff. Just recently I found one, because I moved a few months ago, and I found one from senior year. It was the start of senior year, and there was a lot of stuff that I had written about that I did not remember having. As I was reading it, it all came flooding back, and I could remember everything from what the perfume I wore back then, the lipstick color and brand I was wearing. I mean, all the memories came flooding back. And some of them were not particularly things you wanted to relive. But it definitely opened up stuff. It made me realize more the mindset that you have at that age as opposed to how I do now. And since there's a lot of adults that read YA, I think sometimes you can get a little bit caught. That's a little bit difficult, because sometimes they'll look and they'll think, well, she's acting immature, but then when you go and you look at your journals or you are, doing meet and greets or whatever with kids, you realize that their mindset, how they view things, is very different. And I did a book club thing online where I talked to some parents and stuff, and they were talking about their own kids and how it related to the books and stuff. And I was saying, what adults don't always understand is it's easy for us to say things like, well, it's high school, you won't care in a few years, you won't even, be friends with these people, 10 years from now, you won't even remember. But it's dismissing how the teenager feels at that time, because at that time, that's their world. And it would be like me saying to you right now, if things weren't going well at work, just like, oh, get over it, I'll be fine. In 6 months, that person could be transferred to a different department. It's really dismissing the feelings. And it's easy because we can look back and say that we went through it and we got through it and it was fine. But it's really rude to do that to somebody who's going through it now. It'd almost be like, like when you're sick and you went through something and then like 2 weeks later your friend gets it, like, hey, you're fine. It's just very dismissive. So when you look through it as the teenager, which is what my dad used to always do, he used to always approach it. He was an assistant principal and a counselor. He said, I always came at it from the point of view of the child. And he said, I actually wondered when I had kids of my own if that would change. And he said, I made a point to always make sure to look at things, the problems, through the actual he dealt with middle school with 6th through 9th grade, actually. So he went and checked and made sure he was looking at it from their point of view, and then trying to get the parents to see it from that side instead of just coming at it from they'd been through it. So I think that's the hardest thing, is going through and remembering exactly how you felt, because now it's so easy to look and say, well, it's not that big a deal. And when I did it on actually a different book club, there was all adult women in the group, and they were saying that at that age, they would have been feeling the same way as Emmy, but now looking back, they could see certain things where jealousy, where the fear was coming in, and they said you wouldn't put up with that kind of treatment from just like a mean girl. You wouldn't put up with that, but at that age, you would internalize, you would take it in. So I think that is the biggest challenge, is trying to go back and remember exactly how you felt at that point in time. The next question is writing tips on writing books with teen relationships. I think the biggest thing is I do watch, teen TV shows and, read YA and all that. I think it's really important to go back and remember things as they were, which is, again, how the journals come into play, because it's so easy to look back at a relationship, even a relationship that happened a little bit more recently. You sometimes forget some of the things that people did that maybe upset you or hurt your feelings, and maybe you focused on certain positive things that maybe really weren't that great. A lot of times it's really easy to look back at somebody you're no longer with and think about how all the good times that you miss. And really, if you had that chance to go back on time, it wouldn't be worth revisiting, but you don't realize that because you tend to go back and kind of gloss over things. So when I write about teen relationships, like with Brendan and Emmy, I have to kind of put myself back in how things really were, the other insecurities that came in at that time. Because when you're in college, you have a different set of problems on your day-to-day basis. Same as like a new adult, you've got a whole bunch of like adulthood issues, bills, rent, things coming in for the first time. That's a whole set of different issues and through different stages of life. So it's very important to go back and remember at that stage of life. Emmy in the book, she's 15, turned 16 early in the book. It's important to remember what the things were going on in my life at that time. So I talk about how she missed out on an internship because she was almost 16 but not quite, and they didn't put that requirement on the website, but they needed her to have her driver's license, and she just missed it by a smidge, and that was a big thing. And I talk about how some of her best friend Kylie, her boyfriend can drive, and that's kind of a big issue because it kind of makes a little bit of a separation. And the other things that are coming in, like her being the youngest in her creative writing class, and now to look back on it, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but back then you could be really easily intimidated. I know even in college I was taking a class and they had put grad students in it, and I was terrified to raise my hand. Even if I knew the answer, we were talking about literature, even if I had something to contribute, I kept thinking, there are grad students in this class, I have no business opening my mouth, raising my hand. And I mentioned that to the professor, and he said, no, I really do want to hear from everybody in the class. I don't just want the grad student. So if you put it into high school, where sometimes when you're a sophomore, like Emmy is, and you're in a class with a senior, the senior seems so much older than they actually are. It just seems like such a huge jump. And if you've ever had like a friend or maybe yourself who was a freshman dated a senior, it really seems very awkward at times. I always found it when my friends would date someone that much older. That particular span can really be like seem like a lifetime apart. So you really have to remember all the outside things that were going on, as well as when you're in a relationship, the boyfriend-girlfriend dynamic, because it makes a big difference. It puts on a lot of different pressures. And when you're first kind of feeling your way around and learning about relationships, it puts on a lot of extra relationships, stress and drama. And in Emmy's particular case, her boyfriend before Brendan had cheated on her with his ex-girlfriend. He kept telling her it was no big deal that they were talking, nothing was going on, and of course the whole time there was. So she's got trust issues going in. And the whole time when Brendan says something, she is in her mind replaying everything that her ex did, and she really can't break free of that. And I think that's an issue that people have at any age, but I think when you first start dating, if your first experience is really unpleasant, that is what you're going to, gauge everything else by. That is going to be, the test that you put everything up against. So that's something that is really important to remember. If it's your first relationship that you're writing about, or even second, third, you have to remember that they haven't had a lot of experience, that the experiences they have had are going to weigh a lot heavier than it would if you're dating down the road and you're, out of school. So that's something to also keep in mind. Next question. What have been a few of your favorite reads so far in 2017? Well, I have been reading a lot. Particularly lately, I've been reading a lot of nonfiction. I go in spurts where I'm reading more fiction. When I'm writing a lot, I tend to read more nonfiction for some reason. I tend to get a little bit more inspired. Like I'll be writing, some young adult thing, and then I'll be reading a book that deals with some kind of self-esteem stuff, so I can kind of help my readers, because I put a lot of stuff in the books that kind of can help. So as you're reading the story and being entertained, you take something away. Like with the Landry books, Landry has anxiety, so there's things in there that, especially in Landry and Like, that you can use to kind of help you with your anxiety, little tips and stuff like that. Or if you're dealing with things, I put little things like with friendships, with Next Door to a Star and Competing with a Star. There's things about dealing with friendships and dating the it guy, dealing with things like losing a loved one, which is also Landry and Like. There's tips on how to deal with things like that. So, because I like you to be able to walk away with something that you gain something from reading the book. So I do read a lot of nonfiction. One that I have read, and I liked it so much I gave one away on Instagram. It's called Backwards Beauty: How to Feel Ugly in 10 Simple Steps. And what I liked about this one is I write a lot with the Landry True Color series, because she does enter modeling contests and does a little bit with modeling, and you see the real life side to what that's like. And then in the Star series with Hadley living next door to Simone Hendrickson, the former teen TV star, you see a lot of that with girls comparing themselves to models who are professionally made up, photoshopped, and everything else, and actresses and stuff like that. And of course, Emmy's comparing herself to Brendan's perfect ex-girlfriend. So I really liked this book because it just it brought up a lot of stuff like that, how we do that, how we can be so hard on ourselves. And we do it at all ages, but I think when you're younger, like with my preteen audience, my young teen, and my teen audience, sometimes you don't realize how hard you're kind of in a vacuum with your feelings. Because I would sometimes do that with when I was in high school. I used to read Allure magazine and Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, because really when you're in high school, 17 seems a little bit young for you. And like I read Teen Vogue more when I was younger. And so as you're seeing this stuff, they always have like the cover model, and then on the inside page they'll tell you what makeup she used. So I would go and I would buy exactly what it said that they used. Well, sometimes like they'd have like Eva Longoria, and like they would say they used 3 products on her. Well, I mean, maybe they did because she's gorgeous, but okay, so you go and you buy the taupe lip gloss, which taupe lip gloss does not look good on very many people. In fact, Landry finds it out in Best Friends Forever when she goes to the makeup counter and wants the taupe lip gloss. And like they would have, just mascara and maybe, powder. Well, okay, you put that on, you're not going to walk away looking like Eva Longoria. Or Nikki Taylor was very big when I was a preteen. And they would talk about like, okay, they put this CoverGirl, clear lip stain on her, with hardly any color. And, the real natural, they had at the time clear mascara. Clear mascara, clear, it wasn't even lip gloss. It was like this weird, like a kind of a balm. And blush. I mean, that's, you might look fine, but you're not going to walk away looking like Nikki Taylor. And sometimes you don't realize that, they use a lot more, or maybe she's just a genetic freak of nature and that pretty. So that can really do some stuff to your self-esteem when you don't realize, all the work that goes in. I remember Jessica Alba saying in an interview, I think I might have been in college at the time, where she said that all actresses really have like a weave. They have fake hair, put in extensions of some sort. And I was absolutely shocked by that. I was absolutely shocked. And it made sense because there was a famous actress and singer who I'm a big fan of. I'm not going to say who, but I'm a big fan of. And I remember seeing her hair in a bun, and her bun was just really tiny. And I thought, she's got this long, thick hair. How did she fit all this in this little itsy bitsy bun on the top of her head? Well, reading that made sense because that was her real hair in the bun, that particular singer actress. And what you saw in the music videos and in the movies and TV shows was not her real hair. So this book was really great, and I hope the reader, she was going to give it to her daughter that got it, I hope they really get a lot out of it. The next one, that I'm just going to bring out a couple. Grace Unplugged by Melody Carlson. I started reading Melody Carlson because a book reviewer compared, I think it was Best Friends Forever and True Colors to Melody Carlson's work. And I was aware of Melody Carlson, but I hadn't actually read her books. So I got this one, and I watched the movie too. And it actually kind of deals with a little bit of what I'm working on now, except it's not the main character that's going to the music business. It's the guy she's interested in. And it was just a really, really good book. And it talks about sometimes chasing your dreams leads you right to where you belong. And I think it really shows you how when you do follow a path, like obviously she wants to be a singer. When you do follow a path, there are so many ways you can, fall off the road that you're on because of other outside influences that come in. And in this particular one, it's a Christian teen novel. It really shows you how easy it is to fall from, like the values and stuff that you have. And it's just a really interesting book. It was very entertaining. And so I had to run and get the movie, which is also really good. And the character, if you recognize, I don't know how you can see her, that's Lainey from the Goldbergs. So she plays the main character, and she's wonderful in the movie. The next one, which if you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen all three of these. This is Awaken, and it's a devotional type thing. And I'm not going to open up because I will open up to a page I haven't written. Every day you read a little story, and deals with scripture and how it speaks to you. And like this particular one talks about some of the growth and development that you can pinpoint in your own life recently, and that gives you space to write. And then, you go through each day and read a different one, and then you can fill it out. And sometimes I don't like filling these in and ruining them with my messy handwriting. So I've been writing in pencil in this, and I will transfer some stuff to my journal so that if I want to go back and do this, because it's a 90-day thing, and I am on, I'm on day 15. Ooh, Ego Monster. That's going to be interesting. I'm on day 15, so if I want to do it after the 90 days, do it again and see what I gain from it, then I have plenty of room to write, and I can always erase stuff too. So this is a really great one that I would recommend too. Well, thank you very much. I'm really glad that I was able to do this interview with Double Decker Books. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Kristen Lindsay. And you can follow me on Facebook, Kristen Lindsay Hager, author, on Twitter at Kristen Lindsay. And my website is www.kristenlindsay.com. So I'm always having different authors. I don't just talk about myself because that would be boring. I have tons of different authors. I have some coming up this week. I have always giveaways from authors. You can get books and things like that. And there's always something new coming up. So please come over to my website and check out all these great new authors that I have coming up on the website. And, leave comments below if you have any questions for me. I will come back and I will answer your questions. So thanks a lot.